I've been having a fantastic conversation with Master Desmond Barry Williams. Now we were chatting about all sorts of things. The camera, the energy, the flow. The camera needed to rest and relax.
But you were saying to me before, you know, about my journey and everything, and you know, was talking. That film was going on about the grading system.
Yes.
And how I started off was it's a long story, but I've come to snippets of that during the course. But where I'm at now is I'm a black sash in Kung Fu, but I have my
black belt for other people's terms.
Black belt, which is basically kind of like the top level.
Right.
But then. Well, it feels kind of corny, but I got my 10th dan in Kung Fu.
And for those people who don't understand that, the 10th dan, what's that?
Basically, 10th dan is like is the highest level you can get.
Right.
And
that's the 10th dan you said in Kung Fu. Yeah.
In Kung Fu.
Yeah.
And that's big. And that's big for my system, which is called Nanfang Kwanto. I got awarded that by the US Grandmasters Council in America.
And who are they? Are they the
They're basically, it's a grand council of grandmasters in Kung Fu and in martial arts, and they awarded me this, and that's linked to the US Martial Arts Hall of Fame, and I got inducted into US Martial Arts Hall of Fame in 2013. Wow,
that's incredible.
And it's funny because it was on the 20th of July 2013, and the 20th of July was the death of Bruce Lee, the anniversary of Bruce Lee's death, so it's kind of ironic. And I mean, I don't really see...
Do you know how many people are in that? Well, I don't want to... I know you're a modest man and so on, but...
I mean, to be completely honest with you, I don't really look at titles too much because it's not about me, because the thing is that, titles are just there to people say, okay, this is what I've achieved and whatnot. But when people look at me, it's just Master Desmond, and this is what I have to teach you. And if people want to research me and see what I've learned, then they say, okay, he's achieved this, he's achieved that.
I guess there's something about that. Now you're talking about that. I guess there's something about that, isn't it? That we, in a world where, in a world where people are so much looking for authenticity, direction, so many different things. It is the power of knowing that, and of something which says actually this is somebody who really is what they're talking about. Is extremely important, and I guess it's that, isn't it? I guess it's that, isn't it?
Yeah, because I mean, people are looking for authenticity. I can't say the word properly, but something that's authentic.
Yes.
And if I came straight off the plane of China, and I said, I'm Grandmaster Yin Yang, this is my system, everyone will run towards me because I've come from China, I've presented myself as this person, but there's nothing else attached to me. What is he in? Because they're not looking at that, because they see the person is Chinese, he's come from China, and but when people meet me and I said, I'm Desmond and I teach. And
people wouldn't see the things which are in their mind.
Unless it's from people that's known me in the past, then that's not a problem. But people for the first time, when they meet me for the first time, and they say, "Oh, what do you do?" and I just say, "I teach martial arts," and then it's just like throwing a stone across the water and just skims.
Classic disguise for a master, then, isn't it? Because I mean, isn't it interesting though? But that's interesting, isn't it? Because sometimes, very often, isn't it, that somebody's master at something. It reminds me of, it's a silly aside, but I love that story in the Star Wars story, in what is it, the second one, in the Empire Strikes Back, and Luke goes off to train as a Jedi and so on. He's looking for this great master Yoda and so on.
He's there all the time.
And he's there already. This unassuming person is there because people expect him, and that's something quite powerful about that.
That's it. And the thing is that I don't want people to know me for these titles or
Right.
whatever. I want people to know me for what I can actually teach them. So they should be able to feel my energy, feel feel what's coming from me, that's emanating from me. So
on that, then, tell us what kind of people come to you now. What is that, and what is it that what is it looking for? Because it'd be fascinating. What are the things that the work that is that you're doing now?
Well, the work that I'm doing now, I'm currently working with adults, just doing some of my programs, which is to do with Tai Chi, Qigong and Bagua, and that integration of the balance.
This will be groups as well as individuals?
That's right. I've done a couple of workshops over the years, but once again, I'm just doing tasters to see how it comes across before I actually dive straight in, because I'm kind of focused on teaching children, because I mean they're the ones to bring everything into the current time. Because I remember the Dalai Lama saying is that if every 5-year-old or 8-year-old in the world was to learn meditation, the next generation would be peaceful.
I like that.
So, and when I read that, that drew me to this is what it's all about.
This is a lovely moment then for me as a coach. I can't help but ask then, what is, and you began to touch on it there, so what is the what would be that ideal outcome in terms of you and your work? Because you put in many years in terms of study and the training. What is it that is your mission? And I'd be interested in your take. I'd be interested to know if your master had taught you in that time, if he had a take on that. And certainly by those who you've been inspired by, if you will energetically have a sense of what they feel that work is. Because I do think for any of us who do any kind of work with people, something, I'll be interested in your take on this too, something happens over the years where you suddenly realise that you've got I don't know if the word is responsibility, or an ability to respond. It's interesting, sometimes thinking that there's a particular set of cards I've got, the Zen cards, and the response ability to respond. You have abilities, and you have the ability to affect and to connect and to help and to share.
Yeah, I mean, that's it. Because my 3 main things is teaching children, also teaching adults as well, and the third thing is letting everyone know about the possibilities of integrating martial arts into their daily life, so they can have balance. So those are my 3 main things.
Right. And if I were to come to you for training, what the typical people come to you, can you just tell us, just very briefly, what's the kind of typical journey that you would take somebody on? Because I'm fascinated about that. And somebody might be watching this now and might be really curious, because they might be thinking, there's stuff of this that is resonating with me, either because I'm wanting to become stronger, to be able to defend myself, or to feel as though I've got that there, or because there's something that sounds very holistic for me. I'm being called to this because I feel it's a way for me for my fitness, but also for my state of mind and my state of body. And there's other things he's pointing toward about lifestyle that's speaking to me. Can you just tell them a little bit about the journey?
Yeah. First of all, I'll tell you to turn up at my place and to wait outside, and after a couple of days, I'll open the door. And
You always had me there. Yeah. Great. I like that. Okay. So there's some humour there. Okay. Carry on. Yeah.
Well, it's when I meet someone, I always ask them, how can I help you? And then I start from there. So, what do you want me to give to you?
Right. Yes.
And so I just want to find out. So I treat them like I'm making a soup for them. So I ask, what's your size, measure up. Just go through basic things without them actually realise I'm going through basic things, to find out, what.
How serious they are. What they really want. How deep they want to understand. Do they just want to get fit, or do they want to deeply understand who it is that they are?
It could be. What I do could be like a little bit of deception, but what I'm trying to do is that, do they really want to learn, or are they wasting their time? Because I'm never saying that you're going to be wasting my time, because I'm still learning whether you make a mistake or not, because I'm learning something new on how to treat people. So, which is always a process for me, which is good. So, I was brought up quite well and had a good family and everything else, but I had learning difficulties. dyslexic, ADHD, whatever you want to call it, all of those things.
So many people who've done so much stuff have those labels attributed to them who've brought so much to the world, isn't it? So it's funny that we see life through the mind and through certain things which we therefore see as that because just as an aside, but it's now you're talking about it's just an aside. One thing that's been in my consciousness recently, I thought the education system it is set that it is set to benefit certain people who are wired in a particular kind of a way, and it will disadvantage for people who through that and who can remember particular things. It's disadvantaged by and large people who learn and work differently and who are wired differently. It's quite extraordinary to me, and therefore how people are labelled based on that, and they're not. This is just me going to Rasheedism, and then we don't see their gifts, and we don't let them see their gifts, their magic, so that they can shine in whatever and bring whatever, because one will be more from the mind, one will be from stuff of the body or the sporting or whatever, or the creative. That's how we're all wired differently, isn't it? And primarily in different ways.
Yeah, because it's. I mean, people have to understand. They have to learn how to adapt. It's there's a saying in one of the Taoist books. Be like water. Water water's not forceful. It just goes round. And then Bruce Lee came up with a famous saying about water. Be like water. When you pour water into the cup, you become the cup. When you put the water into a bottle, it becomes the bottle. Be like water. Yeah. So basically, the whole thing is what it's trying to say in a nutshell is that you should be able to adapt to your surroundings, and if something's stressful for you, understand why it's been stressful to you, and then when you understand it, you acknowledge it, you let it go. You don't say, "Oh my God," and then you start stressing. It's like, I can't take it no more. And then what you're doing is that you're now building that pressure for yourself, because what I find amazing about Kung Fu and martial arts in general is that only 10% is physical, which is really generous on the body. The other 90% is up here. And if you can conquer up here, then you have a better, then you get to that higher level. And it's what they call enlightenment. Because you're understanding what's going on around you, and then you're enlightened to that. If that's what the saying is.
Well, and so you were saying before, and it was interesting, I like that flow because we're just flowing this way and that, as sometimes the water will do. But you were talking before about if somebody comes to you and the journey. So is that we were touching on that thing about first of all to find out, getting a sense of sussing up where they're at and what it is that they're wanting.
And we just have a general conversation. Ask them about their background. They'll ask me, about my background. And what's shocking is when I tell them what I used to do before, the break dancing and this and that, like, and it kind of like throws them off a bit. But then they see how the two actually go, because it's an art form, and it all integrates into one. It's all to do with movement. It's all to do with expressing yourself. And once again, when you understand the whole thing, then it all makes sense. So then there's that. So it will then. I get the feeling that then, I like the bit where you're saying as a tailor, it will be tailored to that person and what they're wanting, and which is amazing, because then, and for me it makes a lot of sense. For me it makes so much sense, because I would imagine, this is just me imagining, for one person it may well be primarily that they're wanting, it may well be the stuff that relates to the physical, their strength, the thingy, the physical side of the martial arts. Other people may suddenly become fascinated by it all, by the philosophy and blah 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 blah, and it might even begin with that perhaps. Others, the other aspects of life and so on. So do you then tailor the program? Yeah, I just always tailor the program to that person, because I'd make them aware of all the aspects of what goes on, and I always let them know about the main thing is about the 4 cardinal directions of you as a person and the surroundings around you. So you have north, south, east and west. Those 4 directions will change. So and you're in the center. That's your foundation. That's your boundary, and you have to keep that boundary. If people come in, then you treat them according to how the energy takes you, and then that's just the basic aspect, and then it moves on and then branches out into other things. But the whole point of it is that they have to understand where they're actually coming from, because if they say, oh, I want to learn how to fight, I said, why do you want to learn how to fight? And because, you know, I'm getting bullied at school, or, you know, I feel that if I learn how to fight, then I can take care of myself. But, you know, what's the core of it? And then I remember there's one person I was talking to, you know, they said that they want to be strong, they want to fight. And I said, you know, why? And I said, why? You know, why? And then in the end, they used to be bullied at school. And then I realised that they want to learn how to basically take care of themselves. If anyone comes to them, they know how to fight against them. But then I turned it around and made him look at it in a different way. I says that, why do you want to fight? And he said that, oh, so no. I said, it's about here. If you tune your mind into being positive, then you're not going to be emulating that negative energy for someone to come and fight you. Because if you think about it, then it will happen. If you don't think about it, it never happened.
And that's one of the things, you know, that there, just in that story that you tell, is one of the things that many people who are looking in on martial arts have seen people who've been on that journey, what they emanate, and what they're struck by, as with when other people have mastered and truly understood, deeply mastered any sport, how rounded at peace one is. That person doesn't bring, they don't wage.
I know, it's quite funny, because I mean, if you look at 99% of kung fu films out there, it's always to do with revenge, it's always to do with, you know, stronger than that person, always wants to do a fight. It's always to do with that. It's never the other side. You hardly see it. They might put it in some aspects of it, but it's never to how it should. There's always that mismatch of message, and people always get drawn to, oh, I want to do things like in the Matrix, all of that, and you know, something like when Jackie Chan did the Karate Kid with Jada Smith, and people look at it, they don't see it that way. I mean, something that came kind of close was Kung Fu Panda. I know it was a cartoon, but it kind of touched on how it should be, but once again it was a little bit of mismatch of how it shouldn't be, but once again it wasn't really a proper message. I mean, if I had the opportunity, I would love to do a film, because it's the aspects of how it should be would be in there.
And I think it's interesting now, isn't it, that we don't, I think there's an assumption with all of that one going on a deeper journey to really find peace, acceptance and real flow, that people think that there's nothing compelling about it, but it's incredibly kind of compelling, isn't it? What have you personally, I mean, that's a good moment to begin to bring this to a close, but for yourself personally, what's been the benefits for you of the journey that you've been on? What is it, what's that given you, or what is it you've learned from that journey? Because I guess that from an outset, isn't it, and when people are often looking in, we become very conditioned, because we go down a path because we think that path's going to lead us somewhere, or we'll gain something from it. You know, that's you know, I mean, there's that thing that goes on. But you know, in the richer sense of this word, what's this journey that you've been on given you? Because it's been a life's journey from when you were very young. You talked about 10, so on. In what way is this? What have you got from it?
It's given me the ability to be able to give back, and to give back in a holistic way that can give people balance and a better taste of life, because you know, life shouldn't be so stressful. You know, you should be able to enjoy it and be able to be happy, to smile. You know, okay, the weather's never the same. You know, today it's sunny, tomorrow it's rainy, next day it's windy, and you know, you have to understand how to be together with nature. You know, so once when you got that flow, then you know, you're balancing yourself. If you're happy, you're happy. If you're sad, you're sad. But you're sad for that moment. But why are you sad? Because you're going through a change in yourself. But once when it goes through, then it comes out. But it never stays there for too long. It's just like a moment. So you think about, oh, I'm unhappy. Oh, it's okay now. So that's how the way you've got to take it. It's not, I'm unhappy, I'm angry, I'm mad, I'm crazy.
Like locking that energy.
Yeah, once when you lock in that energy, then it becomes you, that negativity becomes you, and then you attract everything negative, so you become like a magnet, so you attract that badness to you. Instead of letting it go, so it comes to you, you let it go. So it's just like the yin yang, just that flow, and so, and that's the way you should be.
And those people who, can you just tell us a little bit about what kind of people do come to you? What
everyone. A lot of people come to me. I have bankers, I have students, I have parents, people from all walks of life.
And I want to ask a question. Why do you think that's you personally that they're drawn to? What I know that's the kind. Do you know that? What I know that when one's humble and stuff. But what do you think is it that? What is it there that you think that they come to you? Because there's that saying, isn't there? And that in many ways it's the student that picks the master that they want to work with. And I often say to people, if they're looking for somebody, for example, to be a mentor, you pick the mentor. You pick them. You pick them. What do you think is it? What is it that people are drawn to, and why they decide to journey with you, go on that journey with you? What's your take on that?
Well, it's the way I see it is that I present myself of who I am, and this is what I do. And if you like what I have to offer, and you're curious to learn more, then carry on. It's like you might have some chocolate cake. The first bite is delicious. The second bite, not so much. The third, you got a stomachache. But I can be like that. But once again, it's that you take it in moderation. So you like chocolate cake, so you have one bite. Okay, come back for more, but it's not consistent. So what I try to do is have a variety, not for the person to be addicted to one type of thing that I do, but to understand what I'm trying to achieve, what I teach. So okay, I might be, I might have what's that word, facade about me, about how I present myself, but I try not to tell people that I'm a martial arts master or I'm a grandmaster, because it's against of how I am.
Right. Okay.
If someone say to me that, Desmond, how come you're so calm? I said, it's because I don't worry about anything.
I see.
Then when they start asking more questions, and then they realise.
That's interesting. So many people who come from what you're saying here. So many people who come through the door are people who there's seemingly just a conversation or whatever's going on.
That's it.
And it's not because the thing. Here's a master. That's fascinating.
Yeah, I mean it's the same thing like you're saying about Star Wars and Yoda and Luke Skywalker. How he was, he was always there, and Luke didn't realise it was the master. And I kind of go around the same way. I don't really have a school as such, as in people come through the door, because I don't find that. I find that too traditional,
right.
And because a lot of times when people go to a martial arts school, first of all, the initial approach will put them off, because they're going in there and they're going to see a kung fu master. And it's like, oh my god, how I don't know nothing. This guy might kick my ass, and all these kind of thoughts, because everyone's always thinks about kung fu being violent and strict and everything else.
Yes.
But if someone finds a good teacher, then the first thing they should find out is, who is this teacher, who is he taught? Do their research, go on the internet and find out more about that person. See, is it someone that they really want to learn from? And if they meet that person, they connect, and I say, go for it. But also, it's just like having a relationship, you fancy a girl, you go out for a first date, oh, she's really nice, have a second date, then you get attracted, then you go out on a regular. So it's just
like dance. It's got to be very natural. It's got to be very fluid. I'm sure that in one of these talks we'll specifically talk about how does some of these things. How do you find that? How do you I'm sure there'll be many of these individual themes.
That's it. There's so many ways. I mean, there are some steps, but we can go through that at another time. Of how to find a good master, how to find a good school, how to achieve mastery in martial arts, and so on and so forth. So
I love those topics. And are there any other topics now that we're here on that you think are also very important that you would quite like us to discuss, or any other particular themes that particularly resonate with you? Think that, aha, this is one topic that's definitely going.
Yeah, how to integrate martial arts into daily life, because I think that's really, really important, because there's a big taboo about martial arts in general. I mean, you see all the films, once again, going about films, because that's a lot of portraying. You see the teacher, you see the student, and the teacher's always showing them how to do things or whatever. But then when you look at things like The Karate Kid and how Mr. Miyagi would show Daniel-san how to do this, and you know,
because that's what it's all about, isn't it? Because I think that's the bottom line, isn't it? Because how does one, with any net, how does one actually bring it into their actual life, and so that their life is richer and everybody else's? I think you touched on that before. Everyone else, that life is the richer for it. Wow. Well, it's been such a pleasure to speak to you.
Likewise.
And I'm really looking forward to this series of interviews. I'm just going to leave you to smile at the camera as I turn it off. My phone is going mad here. Somebody must be desperately trying to reach me. Is this my phone?
I think
no, it's not. It's your phone.
Mine.
Somebody's desperately trying to reach you. So somebody's trying to reach me. So thank you very much. It's been such a pleasure.
Okay.
Thank you so much for your time.
You too.
Thank you.